Hey there, bookworms. Welcome to Pouring Over Books, a podcast where we dive into the books we love and maybe a few we didn't. I'm your host, LaShawn, and every week I'll be deep diving into what I'm reading, recommendations, and talking about all the things that we love about books. So grab your favorite coffee or tea, find a cozy spot, and let's get ready to pour over some great books together. Hey, friends. Welcome back to the Pouring Over Books podcast. I am LaShawn, your host, and it is April. It is my favorite month of the year because it's spring and it's my birthday month. Prepare to be sick of me talking about it every episode leading up to it. You've got 13 days, by the way. Just 13. Last month was a slow reading month for me, or rather, I'll say it was a slow month for finishing books. I started a total of 12 books, but only completed 7. My brain kept getting distracted by shiny new books, and I will say it is part of the problem with being a mood reader because sometimes, even when I really want to finish a book, I get distracted. And March was more distracting than usual, evidently. The books that I did finish were mostly romance books from Kindle Unlimited that I'll say cleaned the palette and helped me get in the mood for something else. But there were really only 4 books that I think are worth talking about. So let's get into those. 4 books that I want to talk about that I read in March. And let's start with Wild Side by Elsie Silver. Now, this is the 3rd book in our Rose Hill series. And it's about 2 characters who I knew about but really wasn't paying attention to in the other books. All right, let's set it up. Forced to marry the man she is sure betrayed her to secure her nephew's guardianship, Tabitha finds herself living with Reese Dupree's. Secretive and brooding, he's a constant source of tension, and his mysterious absences and intense stares complicate her resolve. When she discovers a fierce gentleman beneath his guarded exteriors, the lines blur, and the man she swore to despise becomes dangerously easy to love. I gave this book a solid 3.5 out of 5. It wasn't the best in the series, but it was still good. Surprisingly good even because unlike the characters in the previous books, I really didn't care much about either of them before this book. But the love story was believable and sexy and sweet all at once. But hey, I love a good he falls first fake marriage that becomes real love kind of story. So it worked for me. The next book I want to talk about is Confessions of a Video Vixen. We read this book as part of the Pouring Over Books book club, and friends, this book is a part tell-all, part cautionary tale. This emotionally charged memoir from a former video vixen nicknamed Superhead goes beyond the glamour of celebrity to reveal the inner workings of the hip-hop dancer industry, from the physical and emotional abuse that's rampant in the industry and which marked her own life to the excessive use of drugs, that life. Was not impressed. I was intrigued at the start of the book thinking, hey, this is not taking the turn that I thought it was. It started off really intriguing and really good, and I was riveted. I was listening with rapt attention. And then it was full on hotels. I kept saying, what in the Tyler Perry movie am I reading? It was a lot of name dropping, I felt, for shock value, and it left us in the book club grappling with the question, who had the power in this story? The men or the woman who was proud to be called Superhead? I gave it a 2.7 out of 5 initially, but I went ahead and moved it to a 3 for just the sheer audacity to write this and tell everything that she did. There were some things that, frankly, I just never needed to know in life. And now I see these people and I can't get it out of my head. Literally. Next, I unexpectedly got an advanced reader copy for Archangel's Ascension by Nilani Singh, which is out May 6th, I believe. This is the real reason that my reading got derailed towards the end of the month. It is a book in one of my favorite ongoing series, the Guild Hunter series. I won't say that the series is romantasy. Wait, I looked it up and it's classified as paranormal romance and urban fantasy. But it is one of my favorite ongoing series. This is actually the 17th book in the series. Yes, 17. It's been out a long, long time. Long time. But anyway, this book was about my favorite character in the series, and I thought I was going to have to wait until it came out in May. But the review gods love me, and when I got that email, I stayed up half the night until I finished it. And it was good. I give it a 3.75 out of 5. I mainly took off because it was too short. I wanted more details. And I will say that with 17 books in the series, all of the books tend to leave you wanting more. They tend to make you feel like there was more to the story and you can't wait to read the other books in the series. And the good thing about it is that usually the stories of all of the characters continues throughout the other books. You get to see what each other couple slash character is up to in the books. And that's what keeps me coming back. And as soon as I saw the cover for this book, like late last year, I knew I had to read it because, like I said, it's one of my favorite characters, and something that we thought wasn't going to happen to him was happening. And that's all I'm going to say because if you don't know, it just won't make any sense. But if you really want a good series that will keep you going for a long time, start the Guild Hunter series by Nalani Singh. It is excellent. It starts off a little like basic, but as the books keep going, they get better and better, and you get more immersed into the world and the characters and the couples. It's good. And the final book that I want to talk about that I read in March is Blood Marks. Okay, yes, this is just the second book, not the new one that came out at the beginning of the month that I went to the book signing for. I'm going to confess that it technically took me 3 years to finish this book. Okay, let me back up. When I got the second book, Bloodmark, I somehow thought that this series was supposed to be a duology. So when I learned at the time that it was supposed to be a trilogy, I was hot because I had been waiting on the next book of Akatar for like 4 years and a conclusion of the Blood and Ash series for like 3. So I had been burned by incomplete series. And around that time, I had vowed never to start an incomplete series again. So there's this series and there's another one that I just absolutely refuse to finish. But the hype around the third book got me on board with reading the third one, and I decided I needed to go ahead and read it because in this day and age, it is way too easy to get spoiled in these bookstagram and book talk streets, like and book thread streets now, because people who have no decorum, they have no behavior, as Lovey likes to say. Anyway, I finally started reading it and I finished it Sunday while my body got pruny in the bathtub because that's where I started and I did not move until I finished. This was so, so good, so worth the wait. And it had me smacking my own self up against my own head for not reading it sooner. I vacillated between rolling my eyes at Breecel and Nick and everyone around them and screaming and wishing and hoping for things to turn out right. Spoiler alert, they did not. This was simply put excellent and everything you want in a fantasy book: a plot, a magical system, and a little romance. This is the first time I've seen a true love triangle, and I am here for it. And I will say that the way that the author weaved in slavery and racism and microaggressions with traditional root magic along with the Arthurian legends, it was brilliant. There is this line when Bree told a white man not to touch her hair, and that made me just be like, yes! Because if you're a black girl, you know that's an issue. Anywho, even with the introduction of new characters and making us fall for the old ones all over again, by 50% in, I just could not put it down until the very end, which is why I was in the bathtub for so long. Just in case you didn't get it, I highly recommend Bloodmark by Tracy Dion. I mean, highly recommend it. 5 out of 5 stars. But just in case you didn't realize, this third book is not the last book. The new one that just came out, it's not the last book. She inserted this book in between the second one and the one that she has yet to write because she said that the story flowed better when she inserted this book. On the one hand, I am like, girl. But now that I am actually reading the third book, I can say I see her points and I bow to her infinite wisdom and her characters. Anyway, okay, now that I've talked about all of the books that I enjoyed Last, let's talk about the books on my radar for April. I talked a lot about a lot of the books that are coming out in April in the Spring Books episode when I talked about books that I'm looking forward to this spring. I'll link that below in the show notes. But there were more that I didn't mention because it would have made the episode too long that I've decided to add to this list. So, books on my radar for April. The first book that comes out April 1st is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez, if you know me at all, you know that it is an auto buy for me and that yes, I will be at the bookstore after work to make my purchase. In fact, I am going to go ahead and order it so that I can just go pick it up. That being said, let me tell you what this book is about. There is no such thing as a perfect guy, but Xavier Rush comes disastrously close. A gorgeous veterinarian giving Greek god vibes, all the while cuddling a tiny kitten, immediate yes. That is until Xavier opens his mouth and proves that even sculpted gods can say the absolute wrong thing. Like really wrong. Of course, there's nothing Samantha loves more than proving an asshole wrong. Unless, of course, he can admit he made a mistake. But after one incredible and seemingly endless date, Samantha is forced to admit the truth that her family is in crisis and that any kind of relationship would be impossible. Samantha begs Xavier to forget her, to remember their night together as a perfect moment, as crushing as that may be. Only no amount of distance or time is enough to forget what's between them. And the only thing better than one single perfect memory is to make life and even a love worth remembering. I just can't wait. Her books are usually very emotionally charged, like they're great romances, but there is so much more to them than a romance, and this is why I usually really like them. It's like you get a fiction book, a woman's fiction book, and a romance book in one, and it's like a two for one. You get more bang for your buck. So I can't wait to read that. The next book that's on my radar that comes out April 15th, the day after my birthday, remember we've got 13 days, is What If I Never Get Over You by Paige Toon. I am currently reading this one. This is one of the ones that I started this month but didn't finish yet. 3 days to fall in love, 6 years to try to forget. Ellie didn't expect to fall in love while interrailing through Europe, but she also didn't expect to meet a man like Ash. 3 blistering days in Lisbon is all it takes to form an unforgettable connection, a bond deep enough for them to scrape their itineraries and plan to meet again in Spain. But Ellie arrives late and Ash is nowhere to be found. 6 years later, Ellie has landed her dream job working as a gardener for a Viscount and Viscountess in their sprawling 500-year-old estate in Wales. She finds peace among the towering topiary hedges and colorful gardens, but her idyllic life is shattered when Ash crashes back into her life. And when it becomes clear why he didn't show in Madrid, her heart breaks anew for what the truth means for their fate but they have never been able to resist one another. And when their sparks of attraction fly, Ellie's life will catch flame. She will have to make a choice. Like I said, I'm about 22% into this book. And let me say, when I realized that I was only at 22%, I was not pleased. There's so much packed into the beginning of this book and the first quarter of this book that I'm just wondering what exactly happens for the rest of it. I mean, it's good. It's really good. A page tune book is always good, but there's always some type of heart wrenching stuff going on. So I'm waiting for the blow right now. And I believe that is why I went ahead and lost interest when I realized that I was only a quarter way through and that I thought the story was getting to the middle at least or to crescendo. No, this is going to be a long one, friends. The next book that also comes out on April 15th is Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. I'm going to go ahead and admit that I could not stand the first book in this series. I couldn't get further than the middle of the second, and I gave up around 60% of the third. So why would I read the fourth book, you ask? Because as usual, the last book in the series is usually the one you really want to read. Let's see what this one is about. Camille Ashwood has always loved to plan. Her latest was her best yet. She was going to get married so she could secure her daughter's future, get her overbearing parents off her back, and finally start building her own life in small town Meadowlark, Wyoming. Easy, right? But when her groom doesn't show for the wedding, Cam's life is turned upside down. She doesn't even have a place to live. That is until she finds out the house she's loved since high school is available to rent. There's only one problem: the neighbor. Dusty Tucker has spent nearly all of his adult life running. Running from what, though? More like who? Cam Ashwood. But ever since he returned home last year, the girl who was his first, well, everything, has become a woman seemingly determined to keep him at arm's length. And he was okay with that. At least that's what he kept telling himself. She was getting married after all. But now she's single and living next door. Dusty wants to show her that they can be friends and that he can stay put. Despite her best attempts to stay away, far away from Dusty Tucker, Cam realizes that being close to him is like slipping into her favorite pair of jeans, easy and comfortable. That is until past wounds start to open and feelings both old and new wreak havoc. Nearly 10 years after they first met, Dusty and Cam begin to wonder if their first love can also be their last. I love a good second chance. He's always loved her single mom small town story, and this checks all my boxes. Let's hope that the two characters who have intrigued me from the beginning hold my attention better than the first three. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to get it from the library. Yeah, we'll see. The next book that is on my radar for April is called Zeal by Morgan Jenkins, and it comes out April 22nd. Let's see. Natchez, 1965. Discharged from the Union Army as a free man after the war's end, Harrison returns to Mississippi to reunite with the woman he loves, Tirza. After his arrival at the Freedmen's Bureau, though, he catches the eye of a woman working there who's determined to thwart his efforts to find his beloved. After tragedy strikes, Harrison resigns himself to a life with her. Meanwhile, in Louisiana, the newly freed Tirza is teaching at a freedmen's school and discovers an advertisement in the local paper looking for her. Though she knows Harrison must have placed it and longs to find him, the risks of fleeing are too great, and Tirza chooses the life of seemingly security right in front of her. Spanning over 150 years, Morgan Jenkins' extraordinary novel entwines the stories of these star-crossed lovers and their descendants. As Tirza's family moves across the country during a great migration, they challenge authority with devastating consequences. First, let me say I would usually avoid this book. That's just being honest, simply because I've come to learn that I dislike alternating timelines. But this book keeps showing up. I've seen it on Book Talk. I've seen it on not one, not two, but three most anticipated book lists. And well, here we are. I won't promise to get to it in April, maybe not even this summer, but I will get to it by the end of the year because I feel like it's one of those books that I'm going to enjoy despite myself, that I'm going to be surprised about. At least I hope so. I hope so. The next book on my list also comes out April 22nd. It is Fantasies of Future Things by Doug Jones. Daily interactions between Jacob and Daniel are a power keg of sexual tension and uncertainty. A recent Morehouse graduate and a Brooklyn transplant, Jacob fears that accepting the truth of his sexuality will disappoint the hopes his parents have for him to lead a respectable life. Grieving the death of his mother while searching for answers about the father he has never known, Daniel, an Atlanta native, has resigned himself to the reality that men who love men don't have happy endings. When Jacob meets Sherman, a social worker fighting for one of the families being displaced by the project, he must decide if rejecting security is worth the risk of embracing the unknown. In the midst of navigating his grief and a volatile relationship with Jacob, Daniel learns his father's identity. Through meeting his father could provide Daniel with the closure he's always sought. The distance between what Daniel wants and what he is willing to do for it remains a question only he can answer. I saw the cover of this book and was intrigued. Sometimes that's all it takes. I didn't even know what the book was about, but I saw the cover and I was like, and then I glanced over it and saw Morehouse in Atlanta and I was like, so it's on my list. We'll see. And the last book on my list that comes out April 29th is Julie Chan is Dead by Lian Zhang. And y'all, once again, the literary gods gifted me with this book today as I am recording this podcast. Woohoo! I was like, see, this is a good month. This is a good month. Julie Chan has nothing. Her twin sister has everything. except a pulse. Separated at a young age, the identical twins were polar opposites and rarely spoke, except for one viral video that Chloe initiated. So, when Julie discovers Chloe's lifeless body under mysterious circumstances, she seizes the chance to live the life she's always envied. Transforming into Chloe is easier than expected. Effortlessly adopts Chloe's luxurious influencer lifestyle, complete with designer clothes, meticulous skincare routine, and millions of adoring followers. However, Julie soon realizes that Chloe's seemingly picture perfect life was anything but. Haunted by Chloe's untimely death and struggling to fit into the privileged influencer circle, Julie faces mounting challenges during the week long island retreat with Chloe's exclusive group of influencer friends. As events spiral out of control, Julie uncovers the sinister forces that may have led to her sister's demise and realizes that she might be the next target. Okay, so now I cannot wait to get into this one, mainly because, influencer life. And since, I am semi retired from that life, but still in that life, I am completely intrigued. Plus, that first line, Julie Chan has nothing, her twin sister has everything except a pulse. They had me right there. I cannot wait to read this book. I cannot wait. Okay, so that is all the books that I am looking forward to this month. Let's get into what I am currently reading. Of course, I am currently reading Oathbound, the third book in the Legendborn series. I know I sang the praises of Bloodmarked earlier, but I have to say that this series is truly one of the most well written books that I've read in a long time. And the third book is proving to be even better than the other two. And that is saying something. Friends, I read a lot of fantasy. And trust me when I say that we were left with a kind of sort of what happens next type situation in the last book where our Bree is out there trying to save everybody but realizing she has to put her own oxygen mask on first, even if her method of putting her own oxygen mask on has me questioning her sanity. Even as I read the third book, I am like, girl. I am rushing through this as fast as I can while working a full-time job, mothering and wifing. But I am tandem reading this one so that I can get through it as quick as possible. So I've been listening to it when I can. I'm going to read a little bit more before bed. I listen while cooking, cleaning, driving, and like I said, I'm going to read my physical copy at night before bed. I should be finished, hopefully, if I don't get distracted by the next episode where I will have a full review for you, even though we have another topic that I'm already eager to discuss next week. But I digress. Anyway, I am currently plotting my birthday again in approximately 13 days. I love my birthday and I always try to plan a me day around it. I think my next birthday, I'm going to plan something big. I'm going to actually go out of town, probably do some travel that time. But for this year, I'm going to stick to my usual script and I'm going to have a facial and a massage that I have planned for the morning of before I treat myself to a bookstore run and take myself to this new coffee shop that I heard about that sells Berea grilled cheese sandwiches. Just listen, Berea grilled cheese sandwich. I cannot wait. While I eat my Berea grilled cheese sandwich and sip on some caffeinated concoction, I will read some new and fascinating book that I have procured from the bookstore or from whenever. I'm highly looking forward to it. Then I will return home for the evening so that the men folks in my life can take me to dinner. It's going to be a lovely day. It really is. Okay, friends, that is all that I have for today. Please be sure to hit that follow button so that you can never miss an episode every Tuesday. And also, if you don't mind, please take the time to share that you love the podcast on social media and to give us a review on a podcast platform of your choice because it helps us find more bookish friends. And you can follow me over on IG or TikTok at LaShawn Wilts. But if you're looking for the books that we discussed today, they are in the show notes attached to this episode. Okay, friends, I will talk to you next week. Bye.